We often treat poverty and economic stagnation like bad weather, an inevitable force of nature we just have to endure. In reality, a decaying city street is the physical evidence of a deliberate political choice. Look at the halls of government, and you'll hear the same justification repeated. A national economy must be run exactly like a household budget. If money is tight, the state insists it has to tighten its belt, enforce strict austerity, and cut public spending to balance the books. Here is the mathematical failure of that logic. When a government cuts its infrastructure budget, economic activity drops. That shrinking economy generates less tax revenue, which then causes the overall national debt ratio to increase. The attempt to save money actively creates a debt-generating cycle. Treating a sovereign nation like a family checking account doesn't save money. It starves the population of essential services and locks human potential in endless waiting lines. Citizens are constantly told the treasury is empty. In reality, massive financial surpluses are sitting completely dormant, hoarded at the state level. Inside institutions like this one, hundreds of billions are locked away in state pension surpluses, unspent unemployment insurance funds, and excess foreign exchange reserves that sit well above international benchmarks. This hoarding extends directly into the private sector. Major manufacturing facilities frequently operate with significant spare capacity. They are physically capable of producing much more, but they leave their equipment idle simply because the general public lacks the capital to buy the goods they make. Nations that reject austerity take a different approach. By aggressively directing state capital into infrastructure projects, entire countries are rebuilt from scratch within 2 decades. This works because of the fiscal multiplier effect. $1 billion spent on a project like this doesn't disappear. It cycles directly back into the economy, creating jobs and driving demand for goods, yielding returns that far exceed the initial outlay. The crisis facing stagnating economies isn't an actual lack of concrete, steel, or money. It is an accounting choice that purposefully ignores massive amounts of unutilized financial and human capacity. If national governments possess resources to build a thriving society but refuse to deploy them, building human capital has to come from somewhere else. Instead of waiting for macroeconomic policy to change, community-focused social enterprises are stepping in to build from the ground up what the state has failed to provide. One pioneer of this bottom-up economic intervention is the Moloney London Recovery Coaching Campus. Their core philosophy relies on external recovery capital. Rather than viewing individuals in recovery as societal liabilities, this model treats them as immense sources of untapped potential energy waiting to be integrated back into the network. A truly functioning economy requires the aggressive equalization of health and education. Every individual needs access to the same foundational support, which is exactly the gap this campus is filling at the local level. Mauni operates as a targeted economic countermovement. It fulfills the exact role at the local level that the national government has abandoned. Individual coaching is only the first step. To make this localized economy truly self-sustaining, it requires a physical environmental ecosystem. That physical foundation is the Punres Felipe residential community, providing the stable housing infrastructure that makes human recovery possible. Operating right alongside that housing is Evidently Fresh Holdings. This includes Evidently Fresh Veg and Compost, acting as the active ecological engine of the community. The mechanics form a closed-loop system. Punres Acres provides physical stability, Mauni provides purpose and education, and Evidently Fresh provides sustainable food and employment. This bypasses the state's austerity cycle, generating localized growth based on human thriving, rather than fiscal rules. By directly pairing health, housing, and food production, these combined enterprises solve the spare capacity problem. They take overlooked land and isolated people and turn them into a highly productive ecosystem. The localized success of Mauni and Punres Acres directly answers the macroeconomic failure of unutilized capacity we saw earlier. The individuals rebuilding their lives inside these campuses are the ultimate unutilized resource. These are the people abandoned by the austerity policies of the state, now actively producing value. This is the humanity model in action. It demonstrates that when a community secures a person's housing, health, and education, that individual shifts from a state liability to a productive contributor. The blueprint to end artificial scarcity is already drawn and functioning. But scaling it past the local level requires a shift in digital and cultural attention. This is where the clever people watching this come in, the thinkers, builders, and creators on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. It's easy to critique a broken macroeconomic system online. It is much harder and much more important to actively participate in building the alternative. Take your cameras to physical spaces like Mauni and Pune Acres. Document this external recovery capital, promote it, and help scale the network. Poverty, stagnation, and empty national treasuries are deliberate political choices, but as these communities prove every day, so is recovery, human investment, and action.